You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the May 10th meeting of the Michigan City Housing Authority Board of Commissioners Budget Workshop. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
We call this workshop to session. If we can, I'd like to still do this. Everybody stand for pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't see how we're going to do this. We call this special meeting. Forgive me. We call this special meeting because we have questions about the finance report. So I don't know how Ms. Huntley and I forgot your name. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Christopher Vincent. And Mr. Vincent, I don't know how you want to present it or how we want to do it. If we allow the board members to ask questions, or are you just going to your presentation? And I think we have our questions. We want to get our questions answered.
Yeah, that's fine. So the way I want to present it is just kind of go over a few things as far as.
What was your name again?
I'm sorry. Before we get started. Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Vincent. I'm the Deputy Director of East Chicago Housing Authority, East Chicago, Indiana. I've been with housing for the last 15 years. Actually, August 11th, within 15 years, I've been with the Housing Authority. I've been in my current position now for 3 years, and prior to that, I was 3 years as the Finance Director at East Chicago Housing Authority. I worked in just about every facet of finance with housing. I started off as a accounts payable and purchasing and have moved my way up. I have a bachelor's degree from Tryon University in Golden, Indiana, and college.
And currently, you're not you don't work with us, work for us, correct?
Well, I help out with the finances. Back when Ms. Sutton became the executive director, it was recommended to HUD that we had a cooperative agreement between East Chicago Housing Authority and with HUD that I would come out and help because there was no finance manager, no finance director in Michigan City. So I'm preparing the budget and talking with the fee accountant to get the finances in order.
And have you had a chance to see our last month report?
Yes, I have reviewed last
You
week.
have a copy of this.
Correct. And I did work with Nikki on last week on a few things to kind of get the report as updated as possible.
All right, Chris, so this meeting is considered a workshop for the budget, right?
Correct. From my understanding, the workshop.
Right, a workshop for the budget, not really a special meeting, right?
So that was the reason why I had the budget up on the screen. I kind of prepare how I work through the budget and kind of how HUD come up with something.
Right, to go over the budget, a workshop for the budget in general.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I do want to apologize, ahead of time. I do have a hard stop at 4:15, so if I kind of talk a little fast, and, I want to get everyone's questions answered, but I do have a hard stop at 4:15. Okay. So, just first and foremost, just kind of, before we kind of get to question and answer, I want to make sure we leave enough time for question and answer. I just want to give a breakdown overview of how HUD government finances works. So, for public housing authorities. So pretty much public housing authority, you have two sources of funding. Your main two sources of funding, based on two sources of funding, will be outside of the grants that you apply for, are your operating fund and your capital fund. Your operating fund subsidy, that's when you pay your bills, your salaries, and all of those things too. Your capital fund is where you get capital improvements. So if you need the windows, the roofs, or keep down on the sidewalks, that's what your capital fund project is for. And HUD has it now where your capital fund is required for housing authorities to make sure you submit a 5-year plan. By the Michigan City Housing Authority, being under 250 units, it's not a requirement, but it is suggested that you do a 5-year plan, submit a 5-year plan in Epic, which is a HUD software on your 5-year plan for your properties. So your operating subsidy, which is your main source of funding, it's based on the dates they use for your operating subsidy. So I use this for example, 2023, the operating subsidy is based off of your occupied units from July 1st of 2021 to June 30th of 2022. So your operating fund that you're receiving right now is based off of your occupancy, your occupied units, and your utility expenses from July 1st of 2021 to June 30th of 2022. Your capital fund that you receive every year is based off of your number of units. So it's not based off occupancy, but based off of your number of units that you actually have. Now getting back to your operating subsidy, once again, like, it's based off your occupied units. So the unit that's not occupied for a lengthy period of time, well, they have units months occupied. What I mean by units months occupied is, for example, if you have 10 units, that means you have a maximum of 120 months occupied units that you have, unit months lease that you can have. So for every one unit, it counts as 12 unit months lease. So make sure we all understand. So that's what HUD based operating subsidy off of during that time. So once again, if the unit is not occupied, it is not counted towards your subsidy for the following year. So it's very important to make sure you have units occupied. And your occupied units is actually costing you money. To be 100% honest, it's costing you money. Each month that you have a unit that sits unoccupied, it's costing you money. Because there's two things you pretty much need to make sure that you have for that unit. And one, you gotta make sure utilities are on, especially living up here in Michigan City, it's cold. You don't want pipes to start bursting and things of that nature. Secondly, you have to have insurance on your units. So if you're not getting money, if you're not getting rent from someone who's living in a unit paying, if you're not getting subsidy from HUD, then guess what? That unit is costing you money. You're losing money on that unit. So it's very important that you get your units occupied. Very, very important. Secondly, for 2023, HUD, there was only a 1% increase on your operating subsidy. So this year, you only operate off a 1% increase in the operating subsidy. Your capital funds, there was 0% increase. And this across the board, it's not just to Indiana, Midwest, this is nationwide. There was 0% increase on your capital fund. There was, however, a 14% increase on your HCB program. The HCB program went up by 14% as far as your HAP money. Your HAP money is your money you pay to landlords. As well as your admin fee. Your admin fee kind of looks like operating subsidy for a house, for the public housing side. That's you pay your bills out of. Your salaries, your bills, things of that nature, your vendors, come out your admin fee. But there was a 14% increase, but also, we do know that rates have increased. I hope I'm not talking too fast. We do know that the rates have been increased, so the 14% was needed for the year, but it's going to eat up real fast. Real fast. All right? Any questions so far? I don't want to just kind of keep going. I want to make sure we kind of,
Yes.
as far as go on.
Looking off our monthly report that we have, under HAP, if you look at our monthly report, can you tell me why we have no expenditures for HAP? We have to pay landlords, I believe.
There was one, I did speak with Nikki last week after looking at that, and I showed her how to go into the system, to the PHA web system software, to get those monthly expenses. So that there is a way to go in to give your unit date. You know your fiscal year starts October 1st. I did explain to her, show her how she can go into the system and get those numbers.
So we actually put money has been expended. It had to be spent out of HAP, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So what did we pay landlords?
That would be a question for, like I said, that would come out of this as far as your expenses.
I know.
I did show her how to go into the system to get those numbers. This is just into the PHA web system to get those numbers.
If I can just I don't know if it's speeded up or anything, but can we just go by and ask the commissioners had questions? And if you can just answer those questions, then you can, if you want to go with that presentation, I think that'd be fine. But I know Mr. Vincent, Mr. Loney, I don't know who else, Mr. Fly might have a question. We had questions at our last board meeting, and that's what got us here to find out. We want answers to our questions.
Okay, not a problem. That's why I stopped right now. I didn't want to keep going on. I want to make sure I stop in between time, if anybody had a question, now you got something that I've talked about so far, any questions you have, the floor is open for questions at this time.
So I'm going to go to the total operating income. I think this is what where we were at our last meeting that kind of initiated some of the ongoing issues and that brings off of that. We have $3,163,000.
Hold on, Ms. Bennett, you cut out.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking down.
Okay, now where are you at now?
And that up there is more up to date than this, correct?
Correct, this is the actual budget that was submitted, to her here. Just the budget here.
That's the budget that was.
Yes, this was sent out to the field office, correct.
Okay, so the total, according to this one, I can't see it on that there. The total operating income is $3,163,000 plus. And then the year-to-date said $2,124,472. This $3 million is the budget that we have for the entire year, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then the year-to-date, the $2 million is what's left for the year? Is that, what does that represent? That $2,124,472?
So that's the money that you brought in for the year. There's $2 million that's down here. So if your revenue, if your operating income, and we're saying this is the money that you would be receiving from HUD, this year to date is the money that you received so far. Through your dwelling rent, for your rent paid for your residents, for your interest payments, and your capital fund operating, that's what this column here is representing, the year to date.
Okay,
And remember, your fiscal year starts October 1st. So
this
it's,
is from all other sources, this $2 million plus, other than HUD.
correct, so, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Yeah.
I was under.
You said this is the annual budget that we receive from HUD, this $3
No,
million.
not thinking about this for annual income, which is dwelling rents, which is for your residents. And then here's your March. So what was put in here was what your March numbers were.
Okay,
Okay, this next column is year to date, it's cumulative, from October to now.
okay, so this all stuff that came in to reflect this, and this $3 million is what we budgeted.
Correct, that's right. Yes, no, it's
Okay.
And the reason why, and kind of get back to your point you just made as far as the guesstimate, because we don't know what the HUD subsidy is going to be. So you kind of go off, so,
What's the estimate?
so let's slide this over a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. So you scroll down here, so right here, in green here, it's operating subsidy. That was a guesstimate. So how to budget, real quick. So these numbers here, actual year to date, how the budget is done, these numbers are based off 9 months, okay? So if you see the formula in here is based off of, the number of months from when we received your last financial statements. So the update from your financial statements is annualized here. So you annualize meaning that I put in actual numbers here for let's say for 6 months. So if you multiply by the rest of the 6 months here to give you this number here. So it's based off what your fee account has on the books, and then annualized out through the year, which gives you a 2-year average here, because you have your 2021 actual numbers here, which give you a 2-year average. And I'm kind of bringing the number here to kind of show your budget number here, which is you budget $380,000 for your dwelling rent. How you want to do a budget, especially a funding budget like HUD and government funding, you want to kind of go a little conservative, on your income, and a little bit more aggressive on your expenses, because you really don't know what is, like I just stated. You only had 1%. There's only 1% increase in your operating subsidy. So to kind of, so to kind of go and say, hey, we're going to increase our, HUD's going to give us 5%, 3%, or whatever. You really don't know that. And that's like the hard part when it comes to, operating subsidy, your capital funds. So you kind of go by what the 2-year average then was in the previous year. Now, one of the tricky parts to that, when you talk about one of the 2-year average, especially the last couple of years since we had COVID, we did have CARES Act once we did. There was extra funding in there. So even taking those numbers into consideration, you cannot take them into consideration this year because that was like a one-time thing. Right. A one-time thing, so you can't add those numbers. So you may show that, HUD gave you, the previous year, $700,000. But $200,000 of that was from CARES Act money that you're not gonna get this year. So you can't factor that into the budget and like you're gonna get that money again, because you're not. So when you see numbers a little bit, you go through the budget and you see, okay, well, 2 years is saying, we received, almost $1 million. Well, you have to go back and look and see, okay, these last 2 years, what went on? What money, extra money did HUD receive, or what circumstances, for that? So you have to kind of budget those numbers accordingly. I'm sorry, so, yeah, question. I'm just kind of.
No, that's fine, I'm following.
The CARES Act money, how much did we receive?
I'm not sure, I think Michigan's.
It was 70 something.
Yeah, we get those numbers for you, probably what you see the CARES Act money.
Yeah.
And I know the CARES Act money originally when it came out, it was just only for personal protection, things that nature, but then they began to upload and say, well, you can use it for the operating and the things that they kind of increased it. But then they finally said, you know what, you can use it for anything operating, you can use it for anything capital fund wise.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm under the impression that we didn't receive a dime.
Every housing authority in the country receives CARES Act money.
Well, I just gotta ask questions before I go any further with that one. That's all I wanted to ask, so.
Okay. Any questions what went on so far? Like, I apologize, I'm
No, you're doing great, Chris. Doing great.
So, once again, so when it comes to the budget numbers, so for example, last year, Michigan City received in 2022, Michigan City was, housing authority was authorized $590,969 for the operating subsidy.
Sorry, what was that again?
$590,969. That's what was last year, was authorized, they call it operating, so you receive, authorized for you to receive an operating budget, operating subsidy.
Okay, so that was the operating subsidy.
That was operating subsidy. And then with that 1% increase, it's only increased by $5,900. So that means, so right now, scroll up a little bit, brief, right there. So if you look at right here in the green, let's say AMP1, your 2023 budget, right there, you're 585,000. That's going to increase to 596,879 is what the increase would be here. So, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Me, Stacy.
Okay, so kind of going back to the question as far as money we receive from HUD and things of that nature. Right now, you'll be due to receive $596,879 in your operating. But you see, only guesstimated kind of sort of the $585,000, which is budget.
Right.
Until we receive the actual numbers from HUD. So now that we know, what those numbers are, those can be inputted into the budget.
Mr. Vince, I have a question. I know that we only have one AMP. What is that? The fifth?
So what those numbers are, those are, what she said, your home ownership, and then the next one is like your other, that's not included here, but it's kind of overall agency budget.
So when we have a copy of this, is there any way you can generate a copy for all the board members to have?
That's not a problem.
Okay.
I can,
Thank you, sir.
yeah, break it down.
When you get it, can you just, yes, thank
Because
you.
I don't know how to operate yet, but you
Yes, thank you.
trick that down. So any questions so far? Anything else as far as your operating budget? How
I did have, so on the year-to-date, just going back to what Stacey was saying about, so we've actually received $2 million. We budgeted receiving $3 million, but we get paid on a monthly basis.
No, so kind of going back here, this is all of these columns included here. So that's including, so your ACV. So this is what we budgeted at, right? This is what, for the month of March, those numbers, and this is your year-to-date running total here.
Right. So this is, the year-to-date is what we've actually received.
Correct.
The budget is what we estimated we'll receive.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, it'll be expensive, yeah, that's what, yeah.
Right.
Right, and like I said, through all these sources of funding, like I said, you don't have a whole lot of sources of funding when it comes to the hood. Like I said, you have grants, to apply for things that nature, but that would be reflected in here. But if there's no grants, like the Ross grant that says those type of grants, then that would be reflected in a different line That's not your actual operating subsidy that you receive from HUD.
So why aren't we seeing anything from March as far as income other than rent? So like, when do we receive these next year? The total grants and all that, that's,
So you receive,
yeah.
So we haven't received any.
So
I mean, there's a lot of zeros there.
Yes.
We just wanna know why.
right, so your interest, your non-tenant income, so these here, this will come from your bank statements, you know, your other income that you receive. Let's say your other income may be, let's say you have a cell phone tower in one of your units, one of your high rises, you know, something like that. That would be other income, that's what those numbers would be there.
Okay.
So right now, the only numbers that were shown here was actually, the rents that was collected, you know.
So section, I'm sorry.
But
So like section 8 half revenue, section 8 admin revenue, there was none for March?
yes, you did receive the money, I don't know.
Is that a separate? Is that, because I kind of remember her saying that was something separate.
Yeah.
Cost.
We're just, so when does, like I said, when do we get these numbers? How do we know what the capital fund is? Do we get one check so we know that's the number?
No,
Or
so,
is it getting more?
okay, so how capital fund works is that HUD will send you what's capital fund now. So right now for 2020, we can talk about capital fund. So in 2022, you received $473,323. That money, when you say you receive it, that money's not a check that HUD cuts to.
Okay.
That's money you spend. So it's put into the ELOC, the HUD ELOC system. And as you spend the money, then you draw it down to cover the check. You draw the coverage 2 days prior. So that's not like, okay, you receive this $470,000, you go in and draw $470,000 down. No,
Yeah, more like a line of credit.
correct, exactly.
So you can use it under their guidelines.
Exactly. And just real quick, since I just touched on the capital fund, capital funds, you have 2 years to expend, 2 years to obligate, 4 years to expend. So once again, capital funds, you have 2 years to obligate the money, and 4 years to actually totally expend the money.
So like, if we budget for repair, then we've got 4 years to actually finish the job.
Correct. So you may have a huge project going on. So for example, right now in Chicago, we're replacing all of our HVAC systems. The ACs, hot water tanks, furnaces, we're doing it. We know that project's gonna carry on for at least 3, so we kind of broke it down to 4 phases.
Okay.
So we know the capital fund money we're using for, like I said, is obligated, because you sign a contract, obligation comes once you sign a contract. Right. When the contract is obligated, then you have 4 years to expend that money for that project. But a project can run over into multiple capital fund years. So you have some money, you know, that you budgeted in 2020, and you can run that all the way to 2023 if need be. You know,
So you said 2 years to obligate?
2 years obligated, 4 years to expend.
And if we don't use certain money, it have to go back on it.
Those back.
And that's that, and once you get
Last on the money.
all the money falls for
The last thing you want to do. That kind of goes back to what I was saying, as far as your operating subsidy, it's based off occupied units. So if you have units that are not occupied, you know, you may want to, you know, get some kind of, spend that kind of fund and get those units occupied, get them repaired, to get people in. Because without it, like I said, it's costing you money. An unoccupied unit is costing you a lot of money. And probably more than what you want to spend on it. You know, because, you know, you have vandalism and things of that nature now, you know, instead of replacing one unit, now you got 6 units.
Mr. Vincent?
Unfortunately, we have, you know, not being together, they just had a meeting, but we have quite a few unoccupied units, so it would be really in our best interest to continue moving forward on getting them rent ready.
In the market, right?
That's
Get
what
them in there.
It's crucial that we all, that through our training, everything we went through, in order for us to spend any of these capital funds, we have to have a 1 year and 5 year plan in place, and it has to be approved by HUD. We out of trouble status now. This stuff has to be approved. As a financial person, would you advise us to go ahead and do something and start doing repairs without having a 1 year and 5 year plan in place?
I checked in that with you. You have a 5 year plan that's been approved by HUD. You have a couple 5 year plans that is approved by HUD.
That's great.
To spend your capital funds.
That's great.
So it was submitted by this agency, right? Those plans?
It's
When was it?
I know when I first came on, was it 2020, 2021? I know I submitted, you know, a 5-year plan, you know, as part of, you know, my duties coming on. That was one that was submitted. So your 5-year plan on a rolling basis. So even though you may submit one, say from 2021 to 2026, you know, 2022, guess what, you have to come into a new 5-year plan.
Right.
And the reason being is because your capital fund money has either increased or decreased.
Decreased.
So you have to kind of keep going in and you're redoing it every year. So if say you have $450,000 one year, next year you get $500,000. Now you have to go in and do your 5-year plan according to that.
But it's not like we just ain't got absolutely zilch turned in, right? That's
Correct. Correct. Yeah, that money is
It's ready to go.
Right.
Let's get it done.
Yeah.
Right. The time is ticking because it goes back, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So you got any capital funds? So right now due to COVID, it did give extra years off capital funds.
Yes.
So let's say, so right now, and I just use Chicago for example, and also I also did in South Bend House as well. Right now, we still have 2017 money. It's not a lot coming out, but we still can spend it because due to COVID, they extended the time for those. So actually, I have until August of this year to spend out the rest of my 2017 money, which actually should have been spent out, you know, in 2021, but they gave us a couple extra years on it. But you want to start
And they
spending.
wouldn't claim you got that money back if they didn't make that extension from you, right? Like you said.
Yeah, we catch it all.
Right.
That's the last thing you want. The last thing that you want.
Once we allocate the money, that's the first part. We just gotta allocate, correct?
Obligate.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Obligated as signed contract. Once the contract is signed,
Okay.
then money's obligated right there at that point.
Okay, going back to the capital funds, on this form, how do we see, would you say 400,000, whatever it was we got, how do we know, like, we're gonna refurbish 17 units, and it's gonna come out of our capital funds, but we have no way to see how much capital funds we have.
If it's not in here, if it's not budgeted in here, so two things. We work like your capital fund. Your capital fund, so now this is out of trouble stats, and we'll get back to that in a minute. So in your capital fund, you actually have 30% of your capital fund that you can draw down into your regular day-to-day operations. 10% for your admin, 20% for your operations you can draw down. So whatever capital fund dollars is, so let's say for example, last year you received $473,332. So 47,000 of that you can draw down into 10% of that, was 10% you can draw down and use into your administration. And then you draw down another 20% of that for your operations. So those are allowed for hood. 10% to your admin, 20% down to your operations.
Is that ACOP? Do we have to have a report, correct?
As far as ACOP,
Yeah. Well, what's the ACOP?
the ACOP is your occupancy continued, admissions continue occupancy, what your ACOP is. So ACOP is pretty much like your I kind of hate to use it, it's like your Bible for your agency, is what it is. So your ACOP can say things like, I don't know, you can't have a rear car on a property. Kind of crazy, I'm just saying, those are just things you can have.
Basic policies, yeah.
Exactly,
Yes.
policies for your agency. Everyone's ACOP is different. Now, there's certain things within the ACOP that's just hood, hood you have to have. It's just hood approved, and nothing you can do about it. Other things can be specific to your particular agency. All right, so you have everything in ACOP that we no longer take checks. You got to do everything by debit card. I'm not saying someone do, but I'm just those are things you got to put into your ACOP. That's kind of agency. But getting back to as far as capital fund, like I said, your capital fund is just money that you're obligated to, that's obligated to. The hood gives you. As soon as you have that, you have your 5-year plan enacted, which is, once it's approved, you can immediately go in and draw down that 30%, 10% to your admin, 20% to your operations. Immediately. Once it's approved, go ahead and draw it down.
Right, what I'm saying is, how on the paperwork do I see what we have available?
So,
I didn't see the 400 and whatever thousand.
so,
I wonder if there's anything left from last year, because you can use it for 2 years.
right, so that would not be here
Okay, where we at?
in a budget things of that nature. So what and Nick would be able to explain this better. So what this is here, so what you have here is upside down.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand so we can make,
So your all cost of operations, so your 14 to your admin costs, and then your capital revenues, all calls. So the line item isn't on here, but definitely the 14 year is the money you can draw out, so that's right here what's budgeted here.
Okay. So then put a 10%?
That would be 10%. Well, now, that's not the age right now, I'm sorry, it's right up here, right at the top, we say soft cost operating and on the operation.
Okay.
This money, the capital funds, this money you can draw down, this is 20%, this is 10% of the capital fund grant that was used for the budget. So once you have that, so like I said, so you draw those money, once those money draw down, then you move on into the year to date.
Okay, all right, but that's still part of the question, so that's telling me how much of that we can use for admin and operating expenses, that doesn't tell me how much we have total available.
It would,
To pay a contractor.
I'm saying, this is your yearly budget.
Well, I understand.
So, what this,
I know we're doing a budget thing, but what I'm saying is when we're looking at this, where do we find it?
so that would be,
If it's on that form, what form?
that would be a total separate spreadsheet that Nikki would create to show how much money you have left from each capital fund grant.
Okay.
So you can say, hey, you know, these are capital fund grants that are open, this is the dollar amount that we receive from each grant, this is the money we draw down from each grant, this is what you have left from each grant. And you can also, then be like create spreadsheets, you know, it's not a problem, which will show when you have to spend this money. So let's say you still have money from 2017, I can just go by what I know from Chicago. I have until August of this year to spend all that money down. Same thing with 2018. 2018, they actually gave us an extra year, which would have been up, which is up this year. So I have 2018 money that is due this year, which I have 2017 money should have been done last year. 2018 should have been done, which is on track to be done this year. So they show you when the money has to be done, has to be drawn down and actually spent. So you just can't draw capital fund money down, but it's you gotta draw it down.
I'm just trying to figure out how much we got.
Yeah,
Right,
don't see it anywhere.
you're trying to say.
It has to be drawn. I can make those numbers. I can ask Ms. Rochelle to print it down and show you, you know, exactly what you have, what you receive for your capital fund, what you have left.
And where it's been spent.
That's, yeah, that would show you
What we need to
And
know.
you're trying to also say, correct me if I'm wrong, you were saying like you initially said we received 450 some thousand.
$473,000.
And I think Mr. Loney, if I'm not wrong, you're trying to see where that is on your, I mean, first of all, when did we receive it? Where's the budget that shows where we received it?
Right.
And then second of all, where's the cumulative, where's the ongoing balance of that? on your- on
Either
your-
expenses being drawn out.
It would
Because year
just,
to date.
it would be a totally separate spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's a-
That'd be a totally separate budget spreadsheet that from your operation.
Y'all, that wouldn't be.
You want to keep your operating and your capital fund separate, other than the money that you can draw down to use for your operation. You know, I never want to commingle the two, forever. I never want to commingle the two on your budget things that nature. Only one thing that you want to show on your operating budget from your capital fund is the money that you can actually draw down and use in your operation. Because the moment you start commingling the two and showing that, you have some problems.
Right, what I'm taking from you, Mr. Vincent, that those accusations that he is inquiring about, it's possible to see it just, this is a budget for the year. It ain't
Exactly,
something
it's just operating part, that those can be tough.
But it's available, you know, another different expression to find out.
Exactly.
So that would be the same, would that be the same for Section 8, the Section 8 information that would be on a totally separate?
No, the section we roll here. The section we roll here, like I said, when I spoke to Nikki Nack, I showed her how she can go in and look that up. And she can go in and look it up and see what was spent as far as what pay for landlords on a monthly basis. So that is available in your PHA web system that shows each month what you pay for your HAP expense. Your HAP expense is for your funding pay for your landlords, and then utility expenses that the participant is eligible. That will show on that. So
That's for Section 8, correct?
Correct.
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 Commissioner, you wanted to know how much we got in CARES money. For public housing, we only got $74,118. And for HAP, we got $167,512.
Mr. Vincent, I just, I want to try to sum my eyes up to be done with this on, with my side of this. This how y'all monthly report look over in Chicago? You the finance person over there, correct?
I'm deputy director, so.
Deputy director, so you very, but I see your talents. Yeah.
Yeah, so what our finance report is, is actually the finances that we receive from our fee account. So that's what we report to the board. It's actually what we receive, what the actual financial statements to the board. So we don't have a financial report like this. It's actually the financial that we receive from our fee account. Now, Ms. Hutton, if I may?
Yeah.
Okay. I've had conversations with Ms. Hutton, we kind of worked on it and kind of put the proposal together. You need to get a new fee account. I mean, 100%, you need to get a new fee account. We work with it. I know this on recording, but the fee account you have is not good at all.
Understood.
Now, I'm just gonna say.
Understood.
So what you should do is,
Like fee account.
so the fee account is who puts your books
The
together.
books together.
So right there, that's who puts your books
Oh,
together.
fee accountant.
Fee account, sorry.
Yeah, they said fee accountant.
Yeah,
That's what I was hearing.
oh, yeah, fee account, yeah, so basically how it works is, all the reports, the expenditures, all that you receive, you send all that to the fee account and put together, your books for you. That's what I use to do your budget.
I understand, and I appreciate you being candid, but at the same time, we're only responsible for one person we can hire.
Right.
And that's not our responsibility.
Right.
And this is a mess to us. We can't read it, and
Yeah, and I spoke with, Ms. Hutton, I also spoke with Nikki, said, I can come out here and be able to kind of help. Because
you in agreement.
I
You in
wouldn't
agreement with that
say
statement.
clean up, but to kind of make it simple, because like I said, without the fee account having your books together, it's hard. Because it's a real guess. You put together what your actual numbers are, but once you look at the big scheme, everything, scheme with finances, it's hard to kind of give you the most accurate numbers that you can, on your financial, your financial statement, where you're looking at. It's kind of hard. Because at the most, you should only be a month behind on your financials, with a fee account. So right now, this is May. So your May board meeting, at the very least, you should have your March financial statements from your fee account. The hard financial statements from your fee account. Of course, you can't get the previous months, like I said, once a month in, sending everything, the bank recs, and doing all that, trying to get them together. But at the most, you should just be only 1 month behind. All right. Any questions?
I have a question for Ms. Hutton. On the sundry line, it says we took a guess at $17,700, but we actually spent out $124,000. And I just want to know, what expenditure did we have that took it to that point?
It's not one expenditure.
Can we-
Sundry.
Sundry.
He's saying not the sundry.
It's right here. I don't lost track of the sundry.
So
Yeah.
Second,
We budget here,
second
yeah.
page.
No, we already here, that much. I just want to know if it was just one, I want to know the receipt. I'd like to have a copy of what it was that we purchased that got us all the way to that point.
No, it's not just what I'm saying, it's not just one purchase, it's a bunch of purchases that she put under sundry.
Right.
I can have Rochelle print out the specific, because she has it in her computer, but it's just a list of things, it's not just one thing. It wasn't
That
one.
brought it to over 500%.
Yeah.
Is that?
Right.
Yeah, so kind of going back to that, kind of going back to what I was saying before, as far as with your fee accountant, your fee accountant and your accounting department should kind of be lockstep on the same page. Because what can happen, I'm not saying what happened here, but what can happen, like I can say what I saw when I came a couple years ago, is that, fee accountant was booking things incorrect.
Correct.
So as long as they're booking things incorrect and showing incorrect, it will show here. So when you get your financial statements, you're like, that was like, excuse my language, but how is it, and of course, what they'll go by is, how you code things. So they have a chart of accounts, how things are coded. If they code it that way, what the fee account should be doing is question, hey, is this really coded? Is this really this? Should this be under this category? Because you may look on that AC1 category where you actually may not have anything, actually spent on it, maybe 10% of it, but it's actually 60% you spent on it. But the fee accountant is kind of looking things how they want to sometimes, and it's kind of, they can throw things on. That's kind of what I kind of said before, you kind of got to be lockstep with and know, what's happening, how they're booking things, how they're showing things. And if not, they can show that you spent way over in a particular budget when you actually have it. When you really actually have it. Any other questions?
Any other commissioner has any questions about the budget? This is what we here for, I mean, about what we got going on.
I'd just like to make a comment, and then if you've got more in your presentation, I'd be interested in hearing that. But it seems like every time we talk about budget or financials, I just get more and more confused. And we try to get together once a month as a board of commissioners. Every handbook and every seminar that I've been at, we are as commissioners responsible for the budget of the housing authority. Correct. Now, we get together on these meetings, we try to have a meeting 1 hour a month, and all we do is get confusing data, and we don't know it. And our meetings usually typically end up being 1 hour of meeting, about 45 minutes of bickering back and forth. So we really don't dive into these details. So I would just like to know, as a board committee person, what am I responsible for, and why are we here at this budget now? And it's the first time I'm hearing about this money that we have to obligate and then spend in X amount of years. I haven't heard that. I don't know if any of the other, but this is the first time I'm here. I've been on board since what, July?
June last year, yeah.
And this is the first time I'm hearing about it. And Ms. Huntley, if you didn't know that we had these monies that we have to spend, you know within $100 off the top of your head how much you have to spend by when. What is ours? These are the kind of things that the board needs to know, right? If we're going to be held accountable, then we need to know these things. And what else is it that we need to know that we don't know? Okay, and I guess that was my comment. No need to rebut that. I would just be interested in more of your presentation to see what else we can learn or uncover that we haven't yet found out.
Okay, well, we can, if you want to kind of go, we can go by, I feel if you have, so this is the budget that's presented at the board. So how your budget works, your budget has to be approved before your fiscal year ends. So typically you guys fiscal year in September. So the September board meeting, you should be approving your budget. That's when your budget should be looked at and approved by the board. Any like I said, any questions, things of that nature that come up, that is when it has, because it has to be signed, approved, there's documents have to be sent with it, that has to go down to the field office, in the hood. The thing is, the reason being, you want to make sure that's done because you do not want to lose out on your operating subsidy. There's also an operating subsidy, a calculation that is done, it has to be done by the housing authority. It's a 527-234 and 527-224 form. Those are the documents that HUD uses, the formulas in those documents that are used to calculate which operating subsidy will be for the following year. Remember, it's based on what? It goes from July 1st to June 30th. So it's based on the previous year. So whatever your occupancy units you had occupied from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2020, 2022, that's what your operating subsidy is based on. Utility payments that you're making, like once again, a unit that's not occupied, it costs you money because you're paying utilities on that unit to keep it warm in the winter, to keep pipes from bursting, and you pay insurance, because you have to have your property insurance and liability insurance on all your properties. And without receiving your HUD subsidy, let alone, subsidy from a tenant being in that unit, it's costing you money. It costs you money. And that's kind of where the capital fund begins to kick in, because now we have occupied units, to get somebody out here, to rehab you and get someone in that unit. And the longer a unit sits unoccupied, the cost begins to go up. It begins to go up. Not just with, the cost of probably vandalism, but the cost of material. Material's going up every day. Been in Menards, Home Depot lately. Plywood right now is about $80 a sheet when before it's probably about $17 at the most, maybe, So I'm just saying that example, but the cost begins to go up. So first and foremost, as a suggestion would be to get your units out.
Right.
Get them out. And you begin to see, what you begin to see is, you begin to see operating money begin to increase.
I have a question, Ms. Hudson. Just because you was talking about insurance, like when our pipes burst and people break things, that's covered under insurance?
It depends,
Okay.
the reason was it burst and, how much damage it is.
Okay.
We do have, insurance that come in, check, but if it's, not over our deductible, then we take care of it.
Gotcha.
Because
Where
I think our
would that be,
deductible is
in
$10,000.
here? Like, if we got a check for the insurance company?
Insurance claim or something?
Yeah.
That would go on the income here, so you gotta take the insurance plan that would be for some. So I don't see it in here. But it would go,
3 pages.
Well, this is payments over here, this is receipts over here, so, yeah.
so the road,
I think what we have on our insurance, if that's the question, I'm assuming it was paid in advance, right, for the whole year?
Well,
No, he's talking about
what we receive back, you know, to cover the damages.
If we,
So, I mean, I'm sure we file claims, I'm sure we get a check from.
If you start filing claims also, our rate is going to go up too. So we gotta be mindful and fiscally responsible and cause us problems down the line.
I'm just asking if we received it, where is it shown, or we haven't received a check?
no, we haven't.
Okay.
The only check, we had a fire, and, the insurance company took the deductible out of the fire, and then we had to pay the rest,
With any claim.
Okay, so you got the expenses that showing on there, right?
A
we
claim,
had to pay the contract, that's how we paid.
so in the monthly budget.
That was the only thing that I know.
you know, one night.
Okay.
So it would be,
I just wasn't sure how.
in the monthly budget, if you receive.
Thanksgiving, probably wouldn't be like, that's what insurance was for. But yeah, I know that rates
I don't
will
think we
go
have
up.
too many more questions for you. We got other concerns than just, we want just to get this shit done.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And then, and speaking of insurance, if I may, you may want to make sure you read, you know what's in your policy. There's a lot of things that not until it happens that, insurance companies say it's not in your policy. And one of the things that insurance companies are not covering is when it comes to housing authorities and nature, is mold. That's why I say I'm sorry. I'm expecting calls, I'm sorry. That's what you. But that's why it's very good, like I said, the longer you have a unit that's occupied, that's unoccupied, you got busted windows, and you got moisture and mold, a lot is not covered. You got to get the mold out. And that's something that a lot of policies not covered. That's kind of the student out there, I ran across that another agency where it happened and it wasn't covered. You have to look at our policy and say, hey, this is policy, and you realize and see, hey, it's not in, or it's in to a small extent, but those are kind of like some things, like I said, when it comes to your finances overall, you kind of start looking at when it comes to, once again, like I said, the insurance is big that nature, because when things covered, sometimes it's not. It's not. And once again, back to your question, your capital fund dollars. Your capital fund is for that. So you can use it if you want to do new sidewalks. Let's say you want to, chop down all your dead trees. It's for that. You want to put new sidewalks for one of the units. So things that's what your capital fund dollars are. And like I said, you can draw down 30% of that into your regular operating, and then the rest of it, you want to make sure you're spending on those capital needs. That's what's part of the 5-year plan. You may say, hey, I want to spend all of our boulevard gardens, right? You want to spend all, get all the roofs done in boulevard gardens. Next year, our big project will be to get all the windows done in boulevard gardens. After that, you may say, okay, one of Lincoln is that we're doing the roofs in Lincoln. Or after that, we're going to do siding. We're going to do tuck pointing on the brick or whatever. But it's just a matter of, like I said, what's in your 5-year plan? And then, kind of prioritize those needs as well. The needs can change overnight.
And correct me if I'm wrong, 5-year plan is something that everybody participate in. The board, the executive director, and the tenants are correct. They have say in this, it's open to the public, right?
That's So, yes and no. So what, so the 5-year plan, you know, you can open it up. So it is into the part. Like once it's done, you know, there's a comment period and things of that nature, you know, for the plan number. But as far as the staff and the things of that nature, what goes on with it, what you need to put in, yes.
Yes.
As far as what goes on with the 5-year plan and getting input on the needs. Like I said, that kind of goes back to prioritizing, you know, what needs to be done. The property manager may say, hey, both property manager may say, hey, I need roofs done over here. So prioritize those things. You may say, I want security cameras at all my sites.
Understood.
You know what being with that. But yeah, you want to kind of get, you know, input when it comes to that.
Mr. Vincent's on a time period. Is any other questions for Mr. Vincent? So, any other questions? Anybody have any questions for Ms. Hutton or our finance person?
And like I said, I am available, you know, to come in and work with me. Like I said, that's when I was here, we kind of talked over, went over a few things, you know, how to kind of, you know, get go in the system and look at those things and kind of, because I'm not sure how, you know, as far as the monthly means or what the board is expecting to see, you know, on a monthly basis when it comes to finances. But what you really want, number one, what you really want to see is what your books are looking like. Because these monthly reports is just off of your in-house stuff, but you really want to know what are our books looking like. You know, how is the fee account booking our expenses, how they're booking our revenues. Right. Because you come to the end of the year and have some stuff that's all the way up. Like I said, I first got here, I was looking at some stuff, and they were showing the housing authority owed some money, and I brought this other ticket. I said, whoa, whoever been doing this, they couldn't find out talking to the fee account. They had been doing it wrong for like 10 years. For 10 years, they had been booking the entry wrong. They showed that housing authority owed like $1.2 million.
They paid for it.
Yeah.
They paid for it.
Yeah. You know, so those are the type of things, like I said, you want to make sure you know what your books look like, know what they book it into your books, because if not, we come to look at this budget, say, okay, let's look at this budget, and numbers way off, and you know, now you try to research, say, okay, what caused this? You know, that's why I said, you know,
Well,
it's not to talk about, you know, I know this is very recorded, but, you know, you want to get you a very reputable fee account that's going to be on time.
well, I think our executive director will take care of that. If what, you know, she has our leadership. I mean, she should be able to take care of it, especially with your help. I guess you're pointing in the right direction or whatever, but this is getting frustrating and.
So let me ask this question. So what, I know some questions asked and answered, but what was a lot of your question concern when it comes to your monthly, what you're receiving on a monthly at your board? Like, was it the numbers are in there or what the numbers are? Like, I'll make sure everybody gets a copy of the budget. So you gotta look at, see what was actually budgeted, what it's looking like. But is it,
Well, there's a lot of blanks, and some of them we're just not sure what it means. Like, we've got 2 lines that say sundry expense. It's either other sundry expense and other sundry expense. Why is it separated?
So, because those are line items the HUD gives you, you know, that's our target accounts for HUD. So usually sundry expense are those things that are not, but let's say like, for example, drug testing. You know, you say, oh, you know what, I want, you know, the local hospital, for instance, to come in and drug test all the residents. That would go under that's something going to your sundry expense.
Okay.
Or, let's say, for example, for new hire drug tests, that's something going to your sundry expense. Like, that's not a line item, drug test not an item, so it goes to sundry.
Okay.
Also, because you do not have COCC. So your COCC, if you have over 250 public housing, you don't have to, exactly. So now you have a lot of stuff that's kind of go into your sundry, where you had COCC with Central Office Cost Center, those would be those expenses.
Okay.
You know, those expenses would go in there. So because you
There's a lot
don't,
of sections here that have nothing in them. You know, half occupied unit, like, there's 1.8, the total housing payments, like, all of these are budgeted in here, but we've used none of it, so.
right, so this is what your expenses are here. So this is what, like I said, when I spoke with Nikki, to show how to run the system, to pull those numbers down to be able to get them to.
Okay, so there's gonna be more numbers next month.
Right. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's concerning when you see half and no money went out the door.
Right.
That don't add up by nobody's standard, at least the training that I went to, and then the numbers just don't add up. The numbers, it's chaotic. This is chaotic. I've seen reports from out of East Chicago where this line item is laid out. Anybody can almost read it, right?
Right. Yeah.
This is chaotic. We just want it to be straightened out, but you come in here saying what you said, we already had some speculation, but you know.
I'm here to help, like I said, get it straight if you want it, you know, simplified or how you want it, you know, we can, you know, and get it to where it's, you know, you get the most accurate numbers, at least the most accurate numbers in-house as possible. The in-house numbers are what they are. They should not be far off from what your fee accountant has.
Right.
There's always that kind of gray area, you know, a couple thousand here, you know, that whatever, but it should not be far. We shouldn't say in-house we spent $700,000. We know $700,000 we spent in half expense on second, you know, for our ACD program, but the fee accountant saying you want to spend $430,000. No, something's not right. You know, that's why I said there's always been a lot of communication with your accounting department and your fee account working hand in hand to make sure those numbers are, you know, if you know in-house you spend $700,000, at the most it should be more than $7,000 to $8,000 more or less for your fee account.
Yeah, we just know the stuff ain't adding up. You know, even with the insurance. Go ahead, Mr. Fly, you got a question? Go ahead.
I want to say, Chris, as far as I've been keeping up with this budget and things that's going on, I've probably been on this board longest than everybody on here. I think we're in the right direction, you know, and give or take, tip for tat, you know, it's not going to be perfect, but I don't think we got nothing that we need to really fall down and break our necks for, as long as we continue the process of progressing instead of degressing. That's what I'm interested in. And I think we'll continue workshops here and there, and if we have questions, bring them up and bring them to attention, and all of that nature. And then other than that, trying to move forward, get these places pretty ready, make sure our budget is turned here on time, continue to move forward and try to get the most important thing done, and that's the tenants and residents to fulfill their obligations to. So far, money-wise, that's a lot of money, you know, with all these extra noise like that. It's cool, just little spikes. But anyway, same time, it seems as if sometimes individuals or some people just don't want to seem to have a plus, you know, in the right direction. So that's my intake on everything, and I appreciate you taking the time to come here and break all these numbers down, because I'm sure none of the new board members are going to remember the housing authority and HUD, and so I understand the questions that it makes sense for me, but I don't know, digression, just progression.
Oh, yeah. Not that.
One of the things that I think would help us is if we just had like, okay, here's how much money we've spent, here's how much money we have left, operating fund, here's how much money we spent, here's how much money we have left for capital expense fund. Because looking at all of this, you have to do math and you still don't necessarily know what we've got. So just for you guys to have something, so when we look at it, we go,
It's
right at the top, real easy to see. And then, how much did we spend on this and this and this? Oh, we got this much left.
So, right, so,
And I know you can do the math on that, but like I said, we're not even seeing income, then how do I?
right, for the month of March, right.
Yeah.
So help me out, so when do you guys want to do it?
The fourth Thursday, so near the end of the month.
Fourth Thursday?
Make sure I have it.
Okay, and that, yeah. And you have your bad board package for the hours. Okay. Yeah, but like I said, I completely understand, you know, like I said, work with Nikki, like I said, I continue to work with it to make sure that what you guys are receiving is as, you know, as accurate as possible. If nothing else, you know, what your monthly, like I said, rolling with on a monthly basis to get your year-to-date numbers as accurate as possible.
Yeah, we don't really have to get into the weeds. I mean, yes, we need to see it, but at first, like I said, it's kind of big, easy to read. Here's where we are, here's where we're going.
You can comprehend, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist, you know, to try to interpret it for us.
Right.
You just look at it and kind of understand it'll flow. There's some
Okay.
type of fluidity with it.
Right.
That's what's up. You know, it is.
That's all.
You know, it
I mean,
is.
just like with your checkbook, you say, you know you got $1,000, you spend $500, you got $500.
Right, right. And I know one of the most important things, like I said, and I'll work to get that as down package part of your capital fund, know what you have to capital. And that's very important, know what you have to capital. You do know what your capital needs are, some capital needs are, but knowing what you money you have in your capital funds. That's very important. And very, very, very important. That's money that the hoods will definitely take back.
Right.
And we'll take it back without you
No,
knowing.
we definitely don't need no money took it back.
Right, make sure your capital fund is up to you, you spend your money.
Yeah.
Spend it.
Well, thank you so much.
I don't know.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Let me start it off.